Alright, now it's time to fight the card guardian.
Let us see what you're made of, shall we? Prepare yourself for battle!
Okay then.
My throat loves doing this voice.
Well, now you get to take a break.
I'm fine, you know. Hey, it's good preparation for when I actually get into professional voice acting someday.
And of course, this guy has plenty of crush card spaces in the bloody.
I mean, it's the final boss.
I know.
I'm trying to remember, did he have these crush cards in the Seto version?
I think the boss is identical to that one.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was saying in the previous part, okay, the way I see this, while Seto's politeness in this version was definitely more of a facade, I'll give him credit here. It's a pretty good act he kept up, and for a plan that he apparently made on the fly, given how he did originally try to sway us to his side. No, I'll give this version of Seto credit. He definitely gets stuff done, and without, being kind of a prat about it either.
Honestly, the parallel that I can see, Jova, is a bit similar to, well, sorry for lack of a better example, but, the first Dark Souls game, where in that your player character is kinda swayed between two different sides, but at the end of the day, neither of them is exactly what you would call, a good side to pick. They're just trying to act out of their interests, and trying to pull the all of them.
Now, to be fair to Seto, in terms of him not being as nice to us in this campaign, well, we're his enemies, so, kind of comes with the territory.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting thing, though, because in the version where we do play with him, he does not try to sacrifice us to the guy. So again, it does show that he at least is definitely willing to properly treat his allies graciously.
Yeah, basically. I actually forgot. Let me see if there's subtitle on this thing. No. I was trying to see. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, we're still going on.
I'd like to use final. Well, I see you definitely prescribed the strategy of direct attack with the magic card.
That's because, Jova, it's an incredibly useful strategy in this one. Because why bother even, trying to go for it when I can just stuff my deck with life attacking magic cards that basically do all the work for me. Because
Bird decks are actually a strategy that's potentially viable to this very day, but they tend to be considered a bit of on the trolling side. It's not like they're actively banned out of tournaments, but the referees will keep an eye out of you in case you're stalling too much.
See, the thing is, in the real card game, there's trap cards and other stuff you can use to negate those effects. In this game, not so much.
So pretty much these can break the game.
Basically, yeah. Yeah.
To mention, remember the fact that the monsters, well, in this case they do still have the cost, but similar to Forbidden Memories, they have less restriction in terms of getting summoned.
Yeah. So... Indeed. Might as well continue the trivia. Here's another fun mistake that they made in episode 1. Again, episode 1 is ripe with them. There's a point where in the 4K's episode where Yugi's like, he picks up he draws an Exodia piece from his deck. This card's useless. I can't beat the Dark Clown with this. Yeah. I need to use a different monster in defensive mode so that so that I keep my points and keep them safe. In the Portuguese dub, somewhere along the line, the word keep became gain, and as a result, he says, this card is useless. I can't beat the Dark Clown with this. I'll have to use a different monster. In defensive form, he says form instead of mode. In defensive form, so that he can stay here while mine gains points and stay safe. Well, while mine gains points, what? Yours what? I'm just like, it's that dub is something. All right.
Yeah.
Ukazi.
Yeah.
All right, more life points. There you go. Didn't you expect me to bring out all of these cards in my deck, did you? Sorry.
No, I was expecting an honorable duel, monster to monster.
Oh please. We live in the same universe where there's an opponent that literally has a field full of crush cards and nothing but just low-powered monsters, just to force the player to just stick around. Like, nobody fights with honor in this world. Randy Savage. Sorry. Anyway, that's for in the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, which is like I said, is pretty much the I win the duel card of this game. Because nobody in this game, at least not that I'm aware of, has the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon in their deck. Because it's interesting, because in Forbidden Memories...
I'm sure Kaiba had that as his deck master.
Yeah.
Was it the Ultimate one, or was it the Blue Eyes one?
No. It was definitely the Ultimate one.
Yeah.
Well, okay. That being said, as he's the deck master, the deck master doesn't participate in normal battles, so that's actually different. Like, because in Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories, your final fight against Seto, he has 3 Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragons in his deck, which makes him the strongest opponent in the game, and nearly impossible unless you just stand around grinding for days. In here, fortunately, someone in the development team thought, you know what, that was a bit too much. Let's not give Kaiba 3 Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragons. That's a bit too much. Because remember, in this game...
Kaiba really came to win in that game.
Because remember, in this duology, we don't need tributes to summon high-powered monsters, so you can just throw the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon right from the first turn, and there you go, that's it. One of my favorite running gags in the Bridge series is, wait a minute, did you summon a bunch of monsters in one turn? Yeah, so? That's against the rules, isn't it? Screw the rules, and that's literally the attitude of these games.
One of the earliest jokes.
The attitudes of that's literally the attitude this game has towards the card game. Screw the rules, I have my own rules. That's basically the attitude of this game.
Screw the rules, I grinded enough.
Screw the rules, I'm an alien.
I love that one too.
I mean, that's Yubel's excuse, I guess.
Or the one where you...
Oh boy, Yubel.
Or the one where Yugi's dreaming like I can remember like it was yesterday. Wait a minute, did you just summon like screw the rules? I have green hair. Huh. Well, that was just weird. I should probably cut down on the drugs. Go on.
Technically, Yubel wasn't an alien. She just got sent with Jaden's deck of aliens because he thought that would help her get better.
Yeah, she's technically more of a demon than anything.
Well, remember, she used to be his friend who... I can't tell if his friend was originally a boy or girl. He's drawn very androgynous between the two genders. And then there's Yubel's actual design. Granted, for the 4Kids dev, they made her just fully female. In the Japanese dub, she's a hermaphrodite. Fun.
And this information is not really relevant.
But yeah,
sorry.
The point is like, well, she's technically not an alien. She's Jaden's friend turned psychotic mad person.
But
yeah, Dwebs, I noticed what you did there. You referenced Little Karibo's Michael Bay's Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge. That's also one of my favorite of his side videos that he's made. One of my favorite running guys that he keeps making. Okay. A new plot point has emerged. It means that the plot is probably going to stop for like 30 minutes. In the meantime, here's Linkin Park. And he plays a Linkin Park video.
And the bits where every time Tristan tries to say something, he blows up.
He blows up, yeah. There you go.
Hey,
there you go. Alright, I mean, there's not much point in summoning that monster, so I might as well skip my turn. After moving this monster. Alright, go ahead, dude, play. You're kidding me, right?
Hold on. Maybe he's got a trump card up his sleeve.
Probably not.
You already checked that card, mate. What the fuck are you... I'm pretty sure he checked the same cards more than once. Forgot that entirely.
AI desperation.
The rules.
Screw the rules, I'm the final boss.
Apparently. Okay, what else? I don't think so.
I'm the final boss, so don't tell me you killed me something before he did.
Okay, so let's throw out 4 cards. Maybe we'll draw a card that takes away the rest of his life points. Alright, and in the meantime we get a mini black dragon. That's always nice. And we'll move.
Literally just layering the field with cards at this point.
Again, at this point, I'm just waiting for an opportunity because, again, the guy, as you can see, he's not really moving much. He's filled the field with low-powered monsters because remember they're all in the crush card spaces, so they have to be low, at least minor than 1500 attack points. So yeah, and as you can see, the guy will just skip turns over and over. The AI in this game is not very. Oh, now you decide to use this.
Yeah, the AI in general is not exactly the most brilliant.
Yeah, they're very
I get the
random.
feeling that the AI is programmed to go desperate mode when it's at low LP.
I mean, I guess it's still better than the AI in World Championship 2004, but that's not saying much.
Again, if there's any consolation, the AI in later game, like the Tag Force games, actually did improve considerably on that front. So it probably was just a case where the technology was not there.
Yeah. Now
I love how you just undid the little damage he did to your LP.
Basically, I am so overpowered with life points right now, whereas he is only at 300. It's only a matter of time until I win this, so...
No, wait, it's an underdog story, so maybe he'll somehow come out on top.
Sure.
Sure he will. Yeah, the AI just stays there and basically does practically nothing.
I wonder if the AI itself has some pretty powerful cards, but due to, again, the nature of the field, it can only do so much with them.
Which probably means
I
that...
notice he's placing quite a few cards outside the crushed field.
Which again probably means that the designers probably should have made a field where he can use his deck more properly. But...
my guess is the mentality is that the player will opt to go this with monsters, which, you know, again, that's where he's placing his more powerful ones outside where he can go, so you'll have to do more work here and there.
I guess. Alright, yeah, this is kind of... Okay, it's not as bad as the Shoddy Duel, though. The Shoddy Duel is by far my least favorite opponent in this game, because that guy is... Because of his incredibly obnoxious and annoying strategy, you basically just have to, you know, take out some of his life points and then just wait for all 99 turns to go by. Because that's the only way of finding him in a... Because trying to fight him head-on... is so annoying because again his field is entirely made specifically with crush cards, so you don't move like. Fortunately, since he doesn't, I can lock itself out because remember, like I've explained in the Shoddy Duel, since you can only have 5 cards up, 5 monster cards and 5 magic cards / trap cards, and once in the field, once you have that, you literally can't do anything else. You have to use the cards in the field, at least expend one of them before you can play more cards. And since Shoddy was going in on all a defensive strategy without doing anything, he basically locked himself out of doing anything. So all I had to do was basically take out some life points and just basically wait it out. This AI, I guess. I mean, this duology is an interesting duo of games, but yeah, they're definitely not ideal. I mean...
Okay. I'd say that they're still fun. It's just that, you know, they have... They do have their fair share of issues here and there, but I'd say that they're still fun. It's that sense where if you know what you're getting into, you'll be fine. If it's your first time ever playing, well, prepare to be tested. All the same, though, I wouldn't say that they're necessarily bad experiences, just that again, like a lot of games of this era, they're good overall, but they have notable flaws.
For me,
something that could probably be fixed in a remake or something.
I would agree with you if it wasn't for the incredibly abusive grinding that the games make you do. That's the only thing that really... I would be fine with these games if it wasn't for the abusive amount of grinding you have to do to get a powerful enough deck to beat the game. It's
like I said, they're overall good, but they have very notable flaws, which...
Yeah. Alright, Path for War has been demoted, but it doesn't matter because I finished the game. Moving on. Now loading. So, how's that, Randy Savage?
What madness is this? I cannot lose! I am the guardian of the cards!
Well, too bad, you still lost.
Tomfoolery is this?
And surprisingly, unlike the previous game, he does not go full Super Saiyan.
Me, the guardian, defeated. No, to have come so far, it cannot be.
Tough luck, bitches.
Yep.
If anything, he was probably just gonna kill you afterwards, Seto. Ah!
Ah.
Ugh.
What's this he left behind?
I leave this message for those who follow in my path.
Was this ASMR music?
Is this the guardian who falleth at the hands of man was not but a be immortal. Oh,
Oh, really? Then what was up with the ritual summoning him then?
tell us more.
To become immortal.
I guess. Journey forth and seek the true God. So that was not the true guardian? For he shall be the one to guide thee to glory?
Oh god, this is like the Playful Heart mode thing.
Wait, were we the guardian after all?
Seto, high mage of...
Remember, the Seto that was in Forbidden Memory.
Oh, right.
Ah, so this was linked in a sense.
Yeah, like you said,
to-
direct sequel, and ideally Forsborn Kingdom is the conclusion to this story.
That should be interesting to see.
And there's the white crusaders. 2 months later! Yugi Eri the 7th, oh yeah, Eri 7th, I said 4th, really sorry, was officially crowned king at Westminster Cathedral on October the 30th. So yeah,
Was it?
By aliens.
Seto and his crusaders were never captured, however they were never to be seen again, and Yugi is now the king of England. Congrats to
You know what? You know one thing I've noticed? Seto seems to...
Henry VII was credited for ending the threat of the Ruse cards, and was dubbed Yu-Gi-Oh!
Wait, what?
by his supporters.
That's a
See?
terrible title drop.
Well, to be fair to you, as the song says, Yu-Gi-Oh is king of games. So, no, that's been whether the Rose Duelist managed to return to the proper day and age. Yu-Gi-Oh is king of games in Japanese, so I understand the logic. To be fair,
Basically, every time someone says Yugi, they're basically saying king of.
the tale remains a lost chapter in the. So you see, there's the reason you've never heard about the Wars of the Roses being actually a bunch of card games is because it's a lost chapter of British history. See, but somehow the developers of this game somehow managed to learn it.
But a document written by the hands of Seto survived.
This document passed through several hands, including John Dee the Alchemist, Emperor Rudolph II of
That kid,
Bohemia, and scholar Athanasius Kircher.
I feel like if the tales of the Portuguese ships were actually aliens or something.
Auctioned off in 1912, the document found its way into the hands of Wilfred Voynich and Emmerich. I can tell you that us over here, we're very open to wild shit like that, so that would be kind of fun. Collector of antique books. Known as the Voynich manuscript, it remains undeciphered to this day, save for a short and mysterious, let me guess, thanks for playing or some shit, inscription. Let me see, thanks.
Drink your Ovaltine.
Of course, a password.
What?
Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelists of the Roses, the Red Rose chapter end.
Okay. So if I may, there's one thing I've noticed. Is it just me, or does Seto seem to have more agency than Yugi does in both of these games?
Yeah.
Keep in mind, Yugi wasn't even with us in the end. Seto is, so... I'm wondering, did the makers of this game really just want to give Seto a good moment where he could actually be a pretty useful antagonist or slash ally?
I don't know. Okay, so that was it. We're done with Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelists of the Roses. Duels, final thoughts.
That was a game.
That was the game. Very good.
Definitely.
I mean,
Oh look, Jun Sunu apparently was the program direction guy. Huh. Never mind. Go ahead. Sorry.
Anyway, just thing that apparently, according to this universe, the one member of the royal, of all the competitors to be royal family was Yugi Moto. And I also love how it's like they have two names. I'm like, wait, is one of them a code name? My name is Seto Kaiba, but you can call me this other guy because fuck you. I'd be like if Jova suddenly said, "Hello, my name's Jova, but you can call me Billy." Why Billy?
I get the feeling that
That's why.
I agree that they should have just committed and just have them named by the actual historical figure names. I don't see the point in trying to have them have both the anime names and the historical names. Just commit to the fact that you're.
My guess is like, well, the anime names are there so that you definitely remember who their ancestors to. I do appreciate that, they found a way to fit them both in, so I'm fine with that, honestly. I get the methodology.
Oh, there you go. 4Kids was involved in the making, actually. All right, go ahead, Dose.
To be honest, that's really about it. It's just, it's basically like the other games, and except in this case, you get an alternate telling of history. So should we let Jova go next?
Go ahead, Jova.
Yeah, no, I like this game. Again, it is not perfect by any means. It has notable flaws, but nothing that keeps it from being, I'd say, overall fun. Like, and I do mean overall, because the grinding can be a bit of a chore. That, I guess if you're moving at a proper pace, you can still arguably have fun with it too. You just have to think outside the box instead of going for sure brute force. Now, if you want to brute force, definitely grind. Or just get very, very, very lucky. Regardless, though, story-wise, I'm actually impressed with how well they do this story here and there. Like, sure, yeah, we got some of the usual bits with, oh, these people just happen to look exactly like their descendants, or, very far off the family tree branch. But, no, I do appreciate their commitment as well to, keeping things consistent in regards to how the continuity should be, as well as in history here and there. And again, kudos that they gave the apparent bad guys a campaign that shows that they're not exactly cartoonish one-note bad guys. Like, no, they have their own reasonings in the stake here and there too. So I may have actually gotten a bit more of a kick out of Seto's campaign than Yugi's. Not that Yugi's was bad, it's just that I've noticed that Seto seems to have way more agency in both of these than Yugi did. Which again, maybe that's to show how big and outside of our reaching grasp that Yugi's is, though honestly, ironically, the Yugi campaign doesn't even make it clear if it was the good guys or the bad guys who sent us back.
Like I said, it's just a case of each side is trying to pull you in, but in the end, each of them just by their own agenda is not as black and white.
Yeah, and again, kudos to them for handling something like that in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Project. So, yeah, no, it may have flaws, but I still consider it a good time. Looking forward to the third game.
Theo, what do you think?
I guess I'll go next. Fine, pretty fine. And pretty much on the same wave of length as Jova. I prefer obviously these over Forbidden Memories, but overall the story is the most interesting aspect to me. It's really fan fiction tier, but in an enjoyable kind of way. I agree also when it comes to the names, considering again the anime was relatively fresh, people would have had no problems, in recognizing these characters. And even so, that's what usually like something like a data log is. Like if you read that conservative people don't associate the name with the character, just put it there in a character entry option. That doesn't hurt anybody. I don't think it's that necessary to mention in the plot. But this is also important to me because this is the first major example of Forbidden Memories had it obviously, but this was also one major example where most of the monsters had 3D models. Some of them classic staples, of course, but others very obscure monsters of the early days of Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is pretty neat. Which is sadly not something that has been kept to this very day. On one hand, I agree that it's preferable to just keep the cards as they are instead of having 3D models for literally every single monster in the game, which would be a nightmare. But a lot of times the games do cheapen out. Like giving, like, for example, the Tech Force game give 3D model and an animation for tech to specific monsters, represent the key monster to a character, which is understandable, but again, not that much. I do believe this game had the right mindset at the very least, but again, that's also where the game was not as, big as it is now. However, I would have to say that this game kind of feels unfinished in some places. It feels like we're supposed to be a bit more, at least more elaborate cutscenes, a bit more elaborate dialogue and everything. It feels very arcadey in the way it's constructed and the story progresses through. Only at the beginning and the end, there's the more meaty stuff that you get. And some characters just disappear.
I can kind of get what you mean. Like, Seto's campaign feels like it's lacking the 2D art of Yugi's campaign, and yet Yugi's campaign, ironically, I'd say, doesn't feel as fleshed out as Seto's campaign.
But anyway, no, I really ultimately enjoyed it, so there's not really that much of a problem to me. And, well, again, I've only skimmed through what the general synopsis of Postbound Kingdom is, so eventually, I guess, I will see in one way or another what the epic conclusion, quote-unquote, of this particular alternate universe saga is. Who knows? Pedro.
We'll get to that. That being said, I'm much more harsh because I've actually played these games over the years, and trust me, actually, while they're fun to watch in terms of the story and the overall ideas that they bring, like I said, actually playing them fairly, which is something that I don't recommend doing, can definitely, and again, these games have a lot of cool stuff in it, but the fucking abusive grind that extends your playtime into the months, like just to grind for specific cards, so that you can, especially in Forbidden Memories. In this game, to be fair, they did improve how you get cards in this one. But remember, in Forbidden Memories, you only get one card after each duel, and that card is dependent on the specific ways you win the duel. And trust me, the game has no problem giving you the exact same useless card over and over, no matter. So you're gonna have to fight the exact same opponents a bajillion times. That's the only real problem these games have. If it wasn't for that major flaw of the flat-out abusive amount of grinding the games require you to do to get a strong enough deck to beat it, I would be perfectly fine with these games. It's just that when you're actually playing them and actually encounter that problem, that single one thing is capable of ruining the entire game for you, because it truly is soul-crushing how you keep trying to beat the exact same opponents only to receive the exact same card over and over, because the game didn't take mercy on you to finally give you the card that, because remember, the cards are randomly generated. It really is a problem. Again, if the game had some kind of card shop system, some kind of booster pack system, like that would be much better. But no, that being said, outside of that problem, yes, if you do what I do, and trust me, with emulators nowadays you can do it easily. What I recommend in terms of playing these games is use DuckStation, the best PS1 emulator, to play Forbidden Memories, and use cheats to give yourself all the cards. Trust me, you don't feel bad by cheating with this game. Trust me, that makes the game a lot more enjoyable. Trust me. Same with this, do what I did. Get a complete save file from GameFAQs. It will make the experience a lot better. It's not how the game was meant to be played, but at the very least, it's an enjoyable experience. That being said, yeah, like Teo said, yeah, the stories that they tell are interesting. They're kind of quirky and weird, but that's what gives it its kind of weird charm. So that's fine by me. The overall concepts of the gameplay itself, they're fine. I understand that they were trying to do something different, but I don't know. I don't think. I still prefer the regular card game. I'm actually surprised that Dark Lord Jedi 1 never reviewed these games, because these games would definitely be something that
he doesn't have a PlayStation or PS2. He sticks to only occasionally maybe emulate something, but otherwise he sticks to something that he can record on a console.
That is true. All right. Well, that being said, yeah. There are interesting pieces of Yu-Gi-Oh! History, definitely, because they definitely try something different that makes them stand apart, and that's something. I guess one day we'll get to Falsebound. I wasn't even aware Falsebound Kingdom was apparently the third of this thing until Teo told me.
Yeah.
So I always thought that each individual game, all the Xbox, PS2, and GameCube were each individual separate games. But apparently Falsebound Kingdom is a sequel to this.
Falsebound Kingdom is just on GameCube, if I recall correctly. But I don't think there's an Xbox, exclusive connected to these.
No, Dawn of Destiny is its own thing, if I remember correctly, right? That being said, yeah, tune in whenever we do Falsebound. Yes, too.
Just one thing that we forgot to mention, Pedro.
What?
Well, it kind of was an apparent audience because you will get it this in block. But again, we did this as per tradition, kind of each part separated, and something did happen while we were recording this.
Right, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Unfortunately, while we were in the middle pretty much of recording this, Kazuki Takahashi actually sadly passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Tragic accident. Apparently, from reports said he was actually trying to rescue someone, apparently, as well. It is a very sad notice as well. It's I did mention, through these particular runs also as well, but especially recent time as well, when I got back into the game, how Yu-Gi-Oh was kind of defining a big part of my adolescence, one of the big interests that I got, and how interesting it is to me as a game, that card game. But it is also to be stated how Kazuki Takahashi was just in love with not just Egyptian culture, doing his own work and everything, but also on tabletop and puzzle games on its own. The Yu-Gi-Oh manga, one thing that sadly is not showcased in the anime at all, is that the Yu-Gi-Oh manga, at the end of each volume, you do get instruction to do basic, tabletop style games similar to the ones Yuki performs, of course, not in a lethal way. Because Takahashi wanted also the audience to be engaged, and he just wanted, to be entertained with these kind of games just as they were, through his stories. The guy was legitimately passionate in his works, and while the anime has sadly kind of railroaded into just one kind of thing, ultimately is kind of interest. It is not to be stated how much, our legend he was among the many people who worked on Shonen Jump. So it is a grave loss, honestly.
Yeah.
And, but I still really do appreciate what we got over the years, thanks to his work and his imagination.
And so we dedicate this playthrough to Kazuki Takahashi because he was a big part of the early he single-handedly made a lot of teenagers in the early 2000s. They gave them a really good franchise to look forward to, and because again that Yu-Gi-Oh, like it or not, was a big thing for an entire generation of kids in the early 2000s.
It still is relatively a big thing too.
It is, but definitely the peak of its popularity, I will argue, was the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Much like Pokemon's peak was the late 90s.
Well, I guess depending on who you ask, Pokemon's peak has been all over the gosh darn place.
Pedro.
Well, the basic point is, Kazuki Takahashi was indeed an awesome guy, so it's a sad thing, but again, all we can do is just, again, we dedicate this to him, and again, like I said, we'll continue to honor his legacy by playing more Yu-Gi-Oh games, the next one being Falsebound Kingdom, when we eventually get to that. See you then.
Yeah.
Ta-ta.
See ya.